Now we're going to talk through how to use this machine as a leg press. So, what you've got underneath here, you've got a little red knob. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to turn that. You may need to pop a hand under here and lift it slightly, give it a little wiggle. Turn it anti-clockwise until you can eventually pull it. Pull that, and then we're going to lift this up and then screw it back in. You've got a series of holes here, holes to position the plate, and that is going to change which angle this plate sits at. And that will very much depend on the amount of mobility you've got in your ankles. For the majority of people, we're probably going to want to take it to the top as high as we can. All right. Now this is set for leg press. So we're going to keep this pad down. We've got this pad up. When it comes to loading the machines, same as when we're using it for a hack squat, we're going to take the plates off of here and we're going to pop them onto the pegs back here. All right. Vicky's going to hop into the machine. Okay, so depending on who used this last, this might be a little bit too high or a bit too low. Just pop your feet up on there for me. So that's a little bit high for Vicky. All right. So we're going to bring it down a smidge, and then we're going to re-wrap it. That's it. Bring it down. Okay. So before we go for our first working set, we're going to assess Vicky's active range. So her active range is the range of motion that she can actively control. All right, because with this, there's a big possibility that the weight could be forcing her legs and her hip joint into a position that she can't contract out of. And that is a place where she could pick up injuries. And what she'll probably find is that her hips will start to lift up and she's going to start getting a little bit discomfort in her lower back because she's going to be compensating with her lumbar spine. So, the way we do this is nice and simple. Sounds more complicated than it is. She's going to take her foot from here and she's going to see how far back she can take that knee, keeping that foot at the same height without her lower back lifting up. So, to about here. That's good. She's going to check the same on the other side, because if this side can go further than this side, we only go as far as this side can go. That's looking pretty even. So, what I would suggest to do is use a physical marker. So let's say she can take her foot back to there. The way I'm looking at this, that's lined up fairly evenly with the bottom of this handle. So if I was Vicky in this position, I would only come as low, I would only let that plate come as low as the bottom of that handle. Vicky's active range of motion is going to be completely different to yours, it's different to mine, it's different to the chap across the road. Everyone's different. And this is today. She could come in next week and she could have more range available, she could have less range available. But this is how we assess what is safe. All right. Now we've got that all sussed, she's good to go. So what she's going to do, she's going to think about pushing this up ever so slightly. You've got handles here and here. We lift those up and in. They may flop back a little bit, but that's fine. Now Vicky's got the weight. She's not going to lock out her knees. She's going to take hold of the handles on the side, the lower handles. She's going to use those to pull her hips into that seat. That's going to allow her a lot more stability. She's going to keep her abs braced, her heels down. She's going to come slow on that way down, just to the point where her active range ends. She's going to pause there. She's going to think about bracing the quads, tensing the quads, and squeezing with the glutes as she drives through her heels back up, not locking out her knees at the top. So she's using these handles, pulling into the seat, bracing her abs. She's not letting her hips lift up at the bottom. Because if that was to happen, she'd be putting a lot more load through her spine, which isn't what we want. We want to load the legs. And she's keeping the heels down the whole time. Once she's finished, she's going to do the opposite of what she did at the start. She's going to use those handles to lift up and out. Then she can drop back down slightly and the weight is re-wrapped. Everything's all safe. So then going to exit the machine, unwrap any weights that have been put on, job's done.